Alright everyone, just time for another little reminder, which is that when you label people who have nothing in common with Nazis as Nazis, you sort of cheapen your own argument. The biggest risk of this, I've told people there are multiple points of overlap between the Western world, not just the US, but the entire West basically, now and the Weimar situation. I think other than the economic side, which is thankfully improving, everything else is basically there as a lead up to actual extremism, which is mostly absent actually when you look at the Western world. Right now, we have people who think that if you wear a MAGA hat, you're an extremist. Or if you're like a member of the DNC, you must be an extremist. Those are not extreme positions. They're not dichotomous opposites. There are a lot of people who think that it's basically just the far right and the far left, and then a little sliver of like independents or centrists or something. They think that everyone on the left is stereotypically like a total out there granola crunch hippie, and everyone on the right is like Bible thumper, Klan robe wearing, burning cross waver. They think of these two sort of separate schools, and the problem is that their lumping ideologies have nothing in common really with either of those bipolar, actual true dichotomous situations. Well, the horseshoe theory aside or whatever. The problem is that they're lumping other ideologies that are far more vast, far less stereotypical, typically more modulated in with those poles. Like, someone wears a MAGA hat, while they could fundamentally on some issues be a total liberal. Maybe they're to the left of you, but you as an Antifa member, of course, you say, well, my fascism, basically. Someone is a Democrat. There are certain assumptions that are made about them. Now, which kind are they, though? Are they a blue dog? Are they a neoliberal? Are they a progressive? Are they like a Sanders socialist? There's different groups. That's becoming a political problem for the DNC, holding them all together. I don't know if they managed to make it to 2020 fully intact. I'm going to tell you, the Democrats have way more problems than the Republicans right now. The map is beginning to switch in favor of no blue wave. Trump's approval is now in the mid-40s and rising. He's doing fine. The economy continues to improve faster than they expected. No recession, no new war. Yeah, all the cards are stacking against the Dems right now. Outside of the House of Representatives, they'll gain support there unless something catastrophic happens. But the big problem is that people who are part of the new left, you could call it, you have a new right, which is the old right was not really a pro-freedom movement at all. It was basically God's guns and stuff like that, and tax me slightly less. The new right is more ironic shitposting, more of a constitutionalist, I think, appreciation. Now, I'm not talking about the alt-right. The alt-right sort of starts out from the same primordial spawn and has diverged from what you could call the new right at this point. I'm seeing two different camps emerging. One which is slowly spiraling itself into non-existence. Again, it's not popular for me to say this among some groups that watch me, but that is what is happening. You're getting into debates over minutia that, they don't even make sense. You then have the new right, which splinters off, which is still kind of just a pro-free speech and pro-trolling almost movement. They get lumped in with the alt-right, but then again, so do libertarians. Here's why we libertarians, minarchist or ANCAP, why we're getting lumped in with Nazis. And by the way, I'm well aware that it's not true that all of these people are actual National Socialists. Some of these people are far-right fiscally, some far-left. There are different, again, minutia that they debate over. It takes a toll. Although it is a form of evolution of a political movement. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I suppose it really depends on who prevails over everyone else and if there's more schisming over time. There's also kind of an alt-light, but it's sort of closer to the new right at this point, I think, for most intents and purposes. But you have this problem where, because elements of the new right believe in free speech, if you believe in free speech and don't want to punch Nazis, that makes you like a Nazi enabler or a gatekeeper or something along those lines. It's a big problem when you're trying to have sane, intelligent public discourse, and the average person can only say one of two things: cuck or Nazi. That's essentially what they've boiled down to in many cases on political issues. You've got to understand, people who tend to be more prevalent in discussions, especially online in politics, are people who have stronger feelings about politics. Who's likely to have stronger feelings about politics? Some boring centrist who's like, yeah, things are okay. I voted for John McCain, but then I voted for Obama, maybe John Kerry. Someone who's boring, they're total establishmentarian. They lead the picket fence lifestyle, or somebody who's under a lot of stress and has joined some fringe group. It's the same thing. Why do you think cults have a tendency to sustain themselves? Now, the message can be as out there as it can be, but they're much more fervorous in attempting to spread it. A lot more effort is necessarily put in. The argument of the mainstream that we need direct suppression by corporations, no less, in most cases, for-profit tech entities especially, of these movements is the most dangerous suggestion that I've ever heard. You couldn't think of a more dangerous situation than taking groups that are already fringe, they're already under stress, they've been built up specifically because of cultural and social alienation, and to try to compact them even further by putting them under more stress. No, what you should be is doing exactly the opposite. Let the storm blow over, in other words. But the big tech firms want to play moralist because it looks good for their brands. It helps them make money. It's really all about the almighty dollar for them. They're not cracking down on offensive or unpopular speech because of any moral reason. It's not like, oh, yeah, Tim Cook really cares what political beliefs you have. No, he cares that you buy his products. Bill Gates really cares, if you use, what was it, that one microshaft service there for talking about offensive. No, he doesn't give a shit about that, but he wants to make money, and he's cutting the head off the snake. He looks at these at the social media firms and how they've been pressured by NGOs to crack down on this, that, and the other thing. He's like, well, eventually they're going to do this because now Microsoft has, products that sort of connect people. They're going to come calling for us. We're not going to deal with it. We don't want them to be able to grandstand on our company and have a big to-do about it. So we're just going to, prevent that from ever happening. We're just going to do it ourselves before it. Another part is the EU constantly passing laws, and U.S. firms feel compelled to obey them. I would say other than the privacy laws, they should probably ignore them and then challenge the European governments to create... you're the German version of Facebook. It'd be really exciting. Really, really great place to discuss politics. The U.S. Facebook is boring enough as it is and is losing users. Twitter, yes, a European-style censored Twitter. It'd be a wonderful place to be. Now, you get kicked off it within a day if you have any unpopular opinion at all. In the UK, you can't even buy a set of teaspoons without an ID at this point. You really think that their version of Twitter or YouTube would be any good? No, it wouldn't have anything other than cat videos. Even those... Apparently, Dankula shows us even a cute animal video can be banned and get you landing you in trouble. So, go ahead, try. Meanwhile, the left here in the US has pledged itself totally against the concept of free speech. They only want regulated speech. Well, if it's regulated, it's not free. Only if the speech causes a secondary and very physical, a tangible effect should it be banned in any way. That's like you've caused someone to commit a crime, a credible threat of violence. You've caused another person's behavior to change reasonably in accordance with their belief that you're about to try to kill them or something. So yeah, that's banned. Defaming someone. You lost someone their job because of your defamation. But those have tangible effects that don't have to do with the speech itself. The words, the fact that you're speaking should never be regulated at all. What you say can be if it causes some sort of significant secondary effect. You caused someone to be hurt. You yelled fire in a crowded theater, 5 people were trampled. Okay, you're liable for that. Sorry, bub. Enjoy paying off those medical bills, especially when you find out none of them have insurance because Obama wanted to penalize them. So the left in the U.S., liberals and left aren't always the same, I'm aware of that, are doing themselves a disservice. You're going to bring about the destruction of the centrist order faster, which some people would say is good. The problem is it could go in a more extreme direction. The fact that you would change an establishment, overhauling an establishment is a good thing, but it matters what you replace it with. If you could overhaul the establishment and replace it with communism. It'd certainly be different. It'd certainly be doing something that wasn't centrist according to modern standards, but I don't think it would be a good idea. Just change for the sake of change. No, you have to figure out what direction you're actually going to go in with it. It matters. Right now, the left wants to approach communism or something, akin to it. And there are elements of the right that are more constitutionalist, or they're just populistic or nativistic. Those are all perfectly acceptable replacements for our neoliberal establishment, maybe. But then there are people who are fanatic. Then there are people who actually, they'll never actually answer the question of, hey, how are you going to bring about your order? Are you going to purge 10 million people? Oh, well, we'd prefer to just pay people to leave. Okay, good luck. No, you'd require a purge. See, you're not being entirely honest with me. You're being kind of like the left in that respect. They're not honest. How are you going to bring about this communist order? How are you going to implement your assault rifle ban? Are you going to kill several million assault rifle owners? Assault rifles so-called. Oh, no. Well, it'll just be totally peaceful. They'll just voluntarily turn it in. We hope that people will follow the... You say they're law-abiding gun owners, so they'll just turn them in because it's the law. Then, yeah, okay. Again, good luck. That's about all. Peace out.